Hi, I'm Tom Russell with Furniture Today, and I'm here with Andrew Lien, General Director of Vietnam Operations for Wanek Furniture. Andrew, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
Beautiful, sunny, hot Vietnam. Yeah. Well, this is a great honor and opportunity for us, and as we talked by email before the trip, one of the things that we want to really accomplish here is kind of see what's happened in Vietnam since China tariffs. It's been kind of a slow but steady, increasingly painful process for a lot of companies. But how has Ashley been able to handle the transition? What's it been like for you folks here, in terms of just managing and dealing with all the shift in sourcing? It seems like Ashley was already positioned, and I don't know how much you had to move from China to these facilities.
Yeah, we started moving down into Vietnam in 2008, and I did not arrive till about 2015. It's been very interesting seeing the shift and watching the economy change in Vietnam.
Yes.
I will say, in 2015 it was kind of like we were on Easy Street in Vietnam.
Yeah. Why do you say that? Because you were so well positioned, or?
Because we had things started and there wasn't the competition in the area. So coming in an American company and focusing on the environment and the buildings, we had a very, very strong position in the workplace. We were our employer of choice, still are, but now we're starting to feel that pressure of more companies coming in doing the same things. And when we first moved, we were kind of the first ones doing upholstery in Vietnam.
Wow. It's a pretty big thing, pretty big accomplishment then.
Yeah, the team's done a great job. We got set up very quickly. We grew a lot faster than we thought we would. Our international market really picked up as well. The sales team did a great job.
Now, when you say was it one of the first or the first doing upholstery in Vietnam?
We were one of the first doing upholstery.
Okay.
When I first moved over, I can only think of one other company that was doing upholstery at that time in this area anyway.
And that's around 2015 when you moved over.
Yep.
So how long at that point had Ashley been doing upholstery in Vietnam? Is it since the beginning, since 2008, or?
That was just our startup for finished goods upholstery was in 2015.
Okay.
Prior to 2015, we were doing the cut and sew and the components for our U.S. manufacturing facilities.
So what has been the biggest challenge for Ashley, if you could identify that, over the past year? I mean, it seemed like starting about a year ago in the summertime is when there were some really definite indications that there would be at least a 10% tariff. And then things kind of evolved from there, starting in September when these went in effect sometime around September.
Yeah, I think, on certain parts of it, we had very good positioning. We had a lot of room for growth in Vietnam. And we had by this time, we had moved 90 to 95% of our upholstery had already moved out of China. And then from there on, it's just being able to keep up with the growth. And obviously we've been working on expanding and vertical integration, trying to bring more of our work in-house. And then when the anti-dumping was announced on mattresses, that became our next biggest challenge. Was we hadn't done mattresses in Vietnam yet, so we got it started and figured out in about 6 months. And now here we're about 6 months from our first shipment, and we're doing 20,000 mattresses a week.
Yeah, so that must have been a pretty quick transition. So were most of your mattresses at that point in Asia being produced in China, and they had to ship to Vietnam?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah.
And our U.S. manufacturing facilities, a lot of our mattresses we split up between Vietnam and U.S. That factory, they started shipping before us actually in October of last year.
Yeah.
We started kind of doing the same thing as we do for upholstery, shipping them cut and sewn kits, and then they're doing the mattress manufacturing, making the coils in Mississippi.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So how difficult has it been to kind of make the transition, in terms of getting the workers up to speed, on particularly on the mattresses, but also there was some additional, did you all have to bring in some more workers or hire some more people? How did this all take shape?
We had a lot of support from our U.S. facilities. So
Yeah.
and our production director for mattresses, one of the two, came from our facility in Verona. So they had been building mattresses there for a few years. And so we relied heavily on them for the training.
Yeah.
In Vietnam, there wasn't a lot of mattress talent available, especially for old compressed mattresses. And so we did utilize resources, from our machine vendors to help training, getting things moving. Definitely had to have, very open mindset to get all the training done in such a short period of time.
Yeah. And what about with the upholstery? Were you pretty much well positioned? In other words, by the time the tariffs hit, if you wouldn't mind just kind of going back, was most of the upholstery already shifted here from China? That I think 90 to 95% you were mentioning?
Yep, the majority of it had already shifted.
Okay, by the point of the tariffs.
Yep.
Okay. The line managers that are here, are they Vietnamese? Are they American? Or how is that set up within Ashley?
So we have all of our line managers are Vietnamese staff, local staff. Majority are individuals that started with us on the ground floor, and then we've developed, and we do a lot of in-house training as far as leadership training.
Yeah.
Developing the skills for the technical employees. We have right now about 13 expats from various countries. The U.S. obviously, then we have some individuals from Singapore, Malaysia, the Philippines in various departments. And they hold some of our director roles.
I see. Yes, and are any of these folks able to communicate in Vietnamese or with any of the workers, or is there communications issues?
So most of the Vietnamese staff does very well. Office and above, anybody that's been through university speaks pretty good English.
Yeah.
We do have translators on the floor for some of our production managers.
Oh, okay. And what about, we hear that there's a lot of competition for workers in Vietnam right now. A lot of industries moving in addition to furniture. What impact, if any, has that had on Ashley's ability to retain, good workers that you've invested in training and all that sort of thing?
It's definitely a challenge, especially being one of obviously the largest, but also one of the more recognizable brands in Vietnam.
Yeah.
We have direct attacks on our employees. We rely on the opportunities of developing from within and our environment to retain those employees, and we're very proud to say that we do a pretty good job.
So there's opportunities, it sounds like, to kind of promote, from within to kind of grow your workforce or expand their opportunities, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm very happy to say that, we have about 30 employees that have been here since day one, since startup, that have stuck with us. Our HR director and some of our admin staff, employees 1 through 3. And each year we celebrate those employees that have made a 10-year tenure, and the number's growing. And we're only on our second time around. So.
Wow. Is it important also, pay is obviously an important thing from the production line all the way up to the more managerial roles, but has Ashley been able to be competitive with its pay for the production side? If so, is there any way to kind of, explain that or define that?
Well, one thing that's been a challenge, but also one of our benefits and kind of promotes our company is our piece rate systems. You know, we do a very good job of rewarding those workers, especially those efficient, longer tenure workers, for what they can accomplish, and that's something that when we first started out in Vietnam was very new to this culture. So we've developed that, and that pays off for us. It allows us to remain very competitive in the market.
What we've heard rates for production workers, including like overtime, from about like $330 to about $500 per month, US dollars. Is that kind of like the ballpark going rate for production workers in the furniture industry, or what's
in
a
furniture in Vietnam? That would be about the going rate.
Yeah. And are most of your operations a 1 or 2 shift, or what would you say?
We run 2 shifts in all of our operations.
Yeah. Okay.
And night shift makes a 33% premium.
Yeah. Okay. And would you say that Ashley tries to pay over the going average in furniture to try to retain workers? I mean, is there a way?
We're above average.
Yeah. Okay. Because we hear, every year there's probably a 10% on average increase in the minimum wage, and I know most furniture companies pay above the minimum wage for production workers, but I'm guessing that sort of thing also puts pressure, on a yearly basis to kind of keep remaining competitive. Is that a challenge too, would you say, in Vietnam right now?
It's something we're very focused on.
Yeah.
We do a lot of trending and market watch for the competitive wage. And we also do our best to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
In most areas we can.
And so have you been able to have you seen any sort of major turnover of any sort in terms of employees losing people to other industries or furniture companies?
We'll see some spikes in our middle management or supervisors. We've had companies come in and they're looking for a quick way to take somebody and make them a manager. So we've definitely saw some increase, but for us, on average, we haven't lost any more than what we normally do in Vietnam.
Okay.
Being the culture here is kind of you move from your hometown to the city to get a job for a couple of years and move back. So it's one of those things that you're constantly monitoring and watching.
So the turnover really hasn't been, up to this point in this tariff environment we're talking about, it hasn't really been any worse than normal up to this point.
Up to this point, it's been pretty normal for us. Yeah.
Is that about to change, or do you fear that things could be more challenging?
I think it's obviously in the back of our mind, that the market is very stressed right now. So I think we've done what we need to do to make sure that it doesn't change.
Yeah, okay. And we talked about competitive pay. Any other incentives that you try to give to keep workers happy, or?
We focus on the environment at work. We have about 60% of our operations are air conditioned.
Yeah.
We try to promote a very good facility. Our idea network that we promote to get the employees bought into the operations.
Yeah.
That helps us a lot, as well as the training that we do, internal and external training.
Yeah.
Just helps provide that accountability and that ownership within the employees. Our employees and our environment that we provide, and hopefully you'll see when you walk the floor today, a lot of smiles, a lot of people happy to be here, and we're a family.
Yeah.
That's what we're the most proud of.
And the idea network that you were talking about, is that ways for employees to suggest improvements or improve processes or things of that nature?
Yep, so we have an idea network, and they're graded on many different criteria. health and safety, cost savings, process improvements, machine improvements. The employees can submit anything that they feel will help their environment or their day go better. And then we evaluate and we reward employees for those ideas. We've had some wonderful ideas, and right out of the gate, you know, we when we first rolled it out in Vietnam, and I don't know if it's widespread in Asia, but the employees don't really speak up. You know, they just, this is what you showed me to do, and I'm going to do it every day the same way. And, you know, the first time an idea came in where, you know, we could remove some fabric off of the bottom of this cover and save some money, and we could also save some time stapling it. That kind of, you get a feeling of gratification that, okay, we're starting to get it. You know, no one had to lead an employee to this outcome. They brought it to you. And I think no matter where you are, when employees start to take ownership in their job, you feel that sense of accomplishment. And we have a great engineering team here, great minds. And when, you know, we don't do, our research and development is done in Mississippi and in China. Now, we challenge them to give us 1 or 2 ideas every quarter. And this last market, they got some of their ideas to go to market. And it was the same thing, you know, it was like they felt that sense of accomplishment that they're being recognized and they got something to happen. So it really, I guess, instills that growth mindset in the team.
Good. And lastly, what have lead times been like? Have you noticed any change? We keep hearing that lead times have been pressured, or there's been some like stretching out, if you will, of lead times, you know, anywhere from initially maybe 60 to 70 days or so several months ago or 6 months ago, closer to 90 to 120 days in some cases currently. How are your lead times been? And Ashley, have you seen any change or impact on lead times due to turnover or anything else?
We haven't seen any fluctuation. We maintain a pretty steady, you know, for planned orders, we're at about 21 days, and then 45 days is our unplanned orders.
Yeah.
You know, new goes, obviously, they stretch out because we're getting raw materials from China, Italy, different areas. So those can be a little longer.
So 21-day lead times on planned orders and 45 days on unplanned. And the difference between those?
So since we're a partner of Ashley Furniture, we're in the Ashley supply chain. So they give us a forecasted weekly demand.
Oh, okay.
And if it's in that forecasted weekly demand, we lock our schedule at it's about 3 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
So then we can lock and produce those pieces in about 3 weeks. Now, if it's outside that forecasted demand, let's say a promotion comes in or something like that, then it's about 45 days.
Yeah, okay.
If we don't have the materials in the supply chain already.
Yeah.
And obviously that excludes the I guess ocean freight time to the US would be excluded.
Yes, yeah, because when I talk lead times, I talk basically from the time, you know, the order is placed to the time it ships out of, the country or the factory. Of course, there's a lag time getting to the port, obviously, but is Vietnam seem to be I mean, it's a tight infrastructure. The roads are not great. I mean, they're fine, but they're crowded.
Yeah.
The ports crowded.
That's one of the biggest concerns, I think, logistically, in the infrastructure in Vietnam. The exports have doubled for furniture in the last 9 to 12 months, and getting everybody to keep up with the trucking companies, the forwarders, and obviously the ports is a big concern.
Well, I think that does it for this interview. I think we got some good information here, good insight. Thank you.
You bet.